welcome to Half the Battle.
Today, we'll be looking at the second part of the classic and much-loved cartoon episode, Worlds Without End.
Quick recap of Part 1.
Steeler was considering leaving G.I. Joe, then, through the power of the MacGuffin of the day, he and a bunch of others got transported to a parallel universe where Cobra had taken over the world. Steeler then got stung by a weird bug, making him go further off the deep end. Riker ordered Worf to fire on the Borg, and somebody shot JR.
And now, the conclusion.
As we saw in the very end of Part 1, some of the Joes were under attack by Rattlers, but they evade the missiles and take out the enemy planes. More are on the way though. Meanwhile, the Dreadnought cops, Dread cops, are taking the Joes that were captured in.
Who'd you figure it'd pay more? Cobra Commander or Destro?
Interesting.
But since they're inept in any universe, Flint and Co. are able to take them out and escape. Meanwhile, yeah, it's one of those stories where three things are happening at once. Steeler, in his delirious state, has run off and is getting worse.
No point. Either side'll ever win.
Grunt has gone after him, though that's not something Steeler is gonna thank him for in his current condition.
Holy crap, that's one hell of a shove.
Did that insect bite turn him into the Incredible Hulk or something? They are being watched by Cobras loyal to the Baroness though, and they got rid of the girl's assless chaps from Part 1. Yes, it was probably an animation error in that first episode, but still, I hate to see it go.
And speaking of differences between the two parts,
we see here that the Baroness isn't wearing glasses. In fact, she doesn't wear glasses for this entire episode. Yeah, it's this story's Spock's beard to show she's a different character.
However, somebody animating Part 1 didn't get the memo.
Since both her statue and her brief 2-second appearance at the end have her wearing the glasses. Not even Joepedia caught that one.
Anyway, back to the episode.
Surprisingly, the Baroness says he'll need help. Back with the Dreadnoughts, Zartan is taking command of matters, and we get the funniest line in both episodes.
They hadn't an ounce of respect for the law.
Ha! A freaking Dreadnought saying that.
The Joes in the Skyhawks are being hounded by more Rattlers, herding them towards the Washington Monument. And I should point out that they're being flown by AVACs, even though those guys are supposed to be Firebat pilots. I can't really call this a mistake, parallel universe and all.
But it's still weird.
Anyway, the Monument is a secret weapon, operated by Destro, that traps the aircraft in an energy net, draining all power from them in the process. The net then crushes the Skyhawks. Meanwhile, Flint and the others take out some guards so they can use their weapons to free themselves. And then they say a non sequitur.
Dreadnoughts may be cops in this world, but they're still stupid.
It's been a good long while since they last saw the Dreadnoughts, so I don't know where this came from.
Was there like another scene missing or something?
Zartan has spotted them and calls in reinforcements in the form of Fang copters. And he's got a really neat looking motorcycle I wish was a toy. They make a run for it, even taking out that cool bike, and manage to commandeer a Fang to get away.
And now we're introduced to this universe's Cobra Commander.
And Destro is unaware that you've turned him over to me.
Interesting.
He's got Lady J and Co. on an upside-down ceiling fan? Torture by way of carnival attraction. It's inventive, I'll give him that. They try to explain they're not the Joes he's looking for, but he doesn't believe them. And you know, that's actually fair. Would you believe your enemy if they said they were from a parallel universe? Without even having the common courtesy to have goatees?
Meanwhile, yeah, I have to keep using that word.
Grunt has caught up with Steeler again, and again the idiot decides to fight his good buddy, causing them to tumble down a hill. Steeler finally comes to his senses, a little, and accepts some help.
Help me, Grunt. Please.
And I'm now gonna stop joking for a bit, because the following scene is the most haunting and well-remembered one of the entire G.I. Joe cartoon series. Hell, maybe of any cartoon series of the time.
I wish I could just show you the entire thing uninterrupted with sound, but YouTube's copyright system would kill the video.
They come across the skeletal remains of 3 Joes. They check the dog tags and...
Steinberg L? That's Clutch's name. Graves?
RW?
That's you, Grunt! Pulaski. It's me.
Yeah, they come across their own dead bodies. Even without being sick, that's not something you're gonna take well. That's something that would shake you to your very core.
Saturday morning cartoons, everybody!
Seriously though, if anybody ever tells you these are just dumb kids' cartoons made to sell toys, just show them this scene. As Steeler crawls away from an existential dread nightmare, they're found by that assistant to the Baroness, who urges them to come with her.
You must come with us so the Baroness can treat your friend for his fever.
Back with Cobra Commander, the torture thing is even more of a carnival ride than I thought, as it throws them into a hole in the wall. They land on another energy net, though if they all went through the same hole, they really should have landed on top of each other.
Prepare yourselves, Joes, for the ultimate adventure!
I swear I was kidding about the carnival thing, but he sounds like a ride operator here. That'll have to wait though, as Steeler has been brought to the Baroness, and she's happy to see him. Very happy.
A little too happy.
Oh, darling.
Oh god, look at Steeler's face. They're just throwing everything at the poor guy today, aren't they? He's confused, but she puts it down to the bug bite giving him amnesia.
Oh, of course. Amnesia.
Meanwhile, wait, give me a sec.
Let me see. Okay. Concurrently, the commander uses technology, which might as well be magic, to turn the net into a bunch of hanging cuffs.
Seriously, how?
Anyway, robot boa constrictors, because at this point why not, come from above to squeeze the life out of them. Can't stay with one group for more than a minute though, as we switch to Flint and the gang being pursued by Cobra. They fall into the same trap that caught Lady J's team. Well, enough with that interlude, back to Lady J hanging around with Cobra Commander.
Okay, that may just have been the worst pun I've ever made on this show. And that, my friends, is saying something.
The commander is distracted by a trooper. No, wait, an officer? Oh no, sorry, a trooper again. Great continuity, guys.
Destro's captured more G.I. Joes, and again he tries to conceal it from me.
Interesting.
Footloose takes advantage and swings his way through the glass, launching the snake onto the other snake, I guess. This makes him conveniently stumble into the controls for the death trap, allowing the Joes to swing to freedom. Okay, Steeler may be having the worst day of his life, but Mirror Cobra Commander ain't having a good one either. In the interval, Steeler and Grunt have explained to this Baroness they really aren't in Kansas anymore.
My Steeler has a tattoo on his right arm.
And they also have to tell her the guy she loves really is dead.
We're pretty sure your Steeler really is dead.
Oh no!
Though devastated, she agrees to help them anyway. Destro meets the freshly captured Joes, this batch not having been intercepted by the commander, and the game is afoot.
More G.I. Joes?
Defectors, Destro. Ours, as in yours and mine.
Cobra Commander's tired of sharing the throne with you. He's building his own army to knock you out of the box.
His own army? We shall see about that.
Positively Machiavellian. I love it.
After Destro leaves, the Baroness basically tells the same thing to Cobra Commander, just, with the name switched around. The Joes meet up with Lady J's contingent as things are heating up.
I've just instigated the first Cobra Civil War.
This is why I've said the word interesting a couple of times in this review.
The cartoon made it pretty clear that there was plenty of mistrust and backstabbing in the Cobra Empire, and so a civil war starting after just a little prodding from the Baroness didn't come out of nowhere. It was nicely set up. Too bad we don't get to see any of said civil war as the Joes bugger off. They head back to the proving grounds where they first appeared.
So the gateway to our dimension should be around here somewhere.
Look, there it is.
Really? It's just there? And you didn't notice the huge freaking portal when you first woke up, huh? Would have been a really short episode otherwise. They all prepare to go through, except...
There's really no one waiting for me back there. I'm staying here.
Okay, that makes sense. Steeler has nothing to go back to. Plus, the Baroness is right there. However...
Count me in too, old buddy. I ain't letting you hog all the glory.
Grunt apparently doesn't have a family or friends or a freaking dog or anything either. Also,
I heard what they did to me. I mean, the other Clutch.
And you want to stay too?
Clutch too? Who was barely in the freaking episode? Yeah, sure, whatever. Anybody else? No? Good. Well, no time to argue, I guess.
Flint, the portal is closing.
And the episode ends with the others getting back, saying they'll explain things later.
It's a long story.
There's some place where brave men are needed. Badly.
Amen to that.
And that was Worlds Without End.
And damn, what a story!
It's easy to see why so many people consider this to be the best episode of G.I. Joe ever. Though yes, I will concede others prefer There's No Place Like Springfield, and that's valid. And there was one guy who thought Kindergarten Commandos was the best ever.
But we locked him in a cage at the bottom of an old mineshaft and threw away the key.
For me, well, this is my favorite episode too, but it's not without its flaws. And I don't mean the nitpicky stuff I point out to entertain you, but some actual problems I'll get into now.
For one thing, this really should have been a 3-parter. Hell, maybe even a full-blown 5-part miniseries.
I've said several times it seems like there were scenes missing, and I bet that if you put all these instances together, you'd have enough for a 3rd episode. And actually seeing the Cobra Civil War unfold would have been an episode all in itself. To watch it happen while the Joes try to navigate their way through the battles, instead of just cutting away to the end of the episode, would have been awesome.
Speaking of which, my second problem, which ties into the first one, is that they really should have taken more time for the ending.
I mean, Steeler's actions were well motivated, but Grunt just went, I ain't leaving my buddy. And Clutch, who was barely in the story, I remind you, just didn't like they killed his counterpart. They really should have taken the time to flesh out their reasonings too. Another reason this should have been at least 3 episodes.
It's pretty telling that my main problem with Worlds Without End is that I wish there was more of it. Yeah, it really is an excellent story.
The roll call scenes in part 1, the skeleton scenes in part 2, they really are unforgettable and very unusual for a Saturday morning cartoon of the time. It was different, unique, and very well done.
Now for something that isn't a complaint, more an observation.
There were quite a few characters missing. Scrap Iron, Storm Shadow, Major Blood, Firefly. None of them seem to have mirror counterparts. I can't help but wonder what happened to them. Did they get killed in the last war against G.I. Joe? Or did Cobra Commander get rid of them? Same with Wild Weasel. It was weird him not being in command of the Rattlers, but a random AVAC was. And it would have been nice to see at least 1 or 2 members of the G.I. Joe Resistance, but we didn't see any, not counting the Baroness who was a double agent.
Once again, if this had been a 3 or 5-parter, maybe we'd have seen all of these things addressed.
To change the subject for a moment, there was of course a reason why the characters of Steeler, Clutch and Grunt were allowed by the powers that be to stay in the Mirror Universe. Hasbro didn't plan to make any more toys of those characters, and a whole host of new ones would show up soon in Season 2, so it was okay to trim the roster a bit.
Too bad Hasbro changed their minds!
Yeah, they ended up making another Grunt figure years later. So he was in the Deke series, and all 3 show up in the background in G.I. Joe the movie.
Because there's nothing that film can't ruin.
In conclusion, what more can I say? This is my favorite episode of the G.I. Joe cartoon. It's amazing and a must-see.
And I'll see all of you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?
It's the end of the world.